Z's most recent update introduced a lot of stuff for the game, most of it having to do with Mahoraga. Some of it is incredibly cool, while some of it is just there. This video will go over all the updates made, and give my thoughts on the most important ones, so that you generally have an idea of how the update impacts the game, whether that be in a negative or positive way. Before we talk about the update though, subscribe to the new Eternally channel for more information on Jujutsu Shenanigans updates and discussions about the game. Now, let's get into the video. Mahoraga has 3 new moves, which all take up the 4th slot and share a cooldown together. These new moves can be rotated through by switching your mode through G and R, and they are Takedown, Adaptation, and World Slash respectively. There's a new code, which is 370M visits, though by the time this video is out, it'll probably already be expired. There's a new game pass, which is Awakening Outfits. By selecting one of your Roblox outfits, it will transform into that outfit when you awaken. There's a new aerial variant for Stockpile, which is just a reskin of Crushing Blow. There's new materials for build mode, and there's one new emote. Z compressed data sizes for build saves, and also optimized destruction for large objects. Mahoraga's parry can deflect projectiles. Changing your mode as Mahoraga gives a very short flash of color to indicate what mode you changed into. Lapse Boost Finisher got some new visual and sound effects. Projectiles supposedly travel more smoothly. The timing window and visuals were changed and now have color instead of being all white for Earthquake. The pitch of Mahoraga's voice chat was changed. Niue always carries you with it while flying, making the R variant the default one. After Jackpot, which is Hakari's awakening, ends, you get 75% of your awakening back. Mahoraga's R had its cooldown reduced. Rapid Escape has less end lag. You can pick up players with ground pitch, the cooldown for Divine Pummel is lowered, and finally, using body repel to throw people out of solid walls, like the ranked map, is supposedly fixed. This update has a lot of very important things stacked into it, and the majority have to do with Mahoraga. I'll talk about Mahoraga first, since most of these updates pertain to him, before I actually discuss the other smaller updates which aren't too huge. First, Mahoraga's 3 new moves. Takedown is a pretty decent move overall. It has insane range, is very difficult to avoid, and while the damage is nothing special, as well as the move not falling up into anything, it's still not a terrible gap closer at the end of the day. It feels practically like free damage unless you close whatever distance you or your opponent made, which makes sense for a mode that has a melee icon. Adaptation, on the other hand, feels kind of pointless for anything except public servers. In 1v1s, it'll take far too much time to ramp up the damage reduction to a point where it actually matters. And using Adaptation also doesn't stop you from taking stun, so you're still going to take damage for using Adaptation, which will matter a lot in normal one-on-one fights. In public servers, however, you have way more time to actually stack that reduction up to a huge amount, especially if you cheese it by having some friend purposefully trigger it and get you that 70% damage reduction, which basically turns you into a god if you get it. The move as a whole is very niche, but Mahoraga's defensive mode is also just in general incredibly niche. You're never using it as a main mode, and Adaptation isn't a move that I believe you are going to be using much either. However, it's still there, and there is a reason to use it in some extremely specific scenarios, so it's not a bad thing at the end of the day. Topping it off, World Slash is just stupid. It's the biggest AoE in the entire game, does really good damage for an unavoidable, and can be used to create a one-shot combo with Mahoraga. Even if you don't use some goofy one-shot, just throwing this thing out whenever it's off cooldown will absolutely whittle your opponent's HP bar down into the ground. It does so much damage with such low windup, and since the only counter to it is to interrupt the person using it, there basically is no counterplay since Mahoraga can easily create the distance needed to use this thing safely. It's literally just Sukuna's world-cutting slash if you removed every single weakness that move had in exchange for shaving off a little bit of the damage. This is genuinely one of, if not the best move in the entire game, and it's a little crazy that it got added in my opinion. The move is a menace, but since it's on Mahoraga, I think it's okay. The other Mahoraga changes are reducing the cooldown on Divine Pummel, which is fine, basically just gives him a more consistent damage output, and making it so that you can pick people up with ground pitch. This latter change is very important, since it increases Mahoraga's combo game at close range by a lot. You no longer have to throw someone far away to use a move, and if someone is right in front of your face, you can just pick them up in the rubble and toss them away. It's a really funny move that I personally adore, and it turns what was a very mid move into something that can actually be a really good get off me tool or zoning tool. There are also some other minor Mahoraga changes, but the only one from these that actually matters is a tint, since it lets the opponent know what mode Mahoraga is changing into. It'll only matter to pros who can take advantage of that knowledge, but for a wide majority of players, a small update like that isn't going to mean anything. Making the R variant of Nue the default version feels pretty stupid, though it seems like Z is planning on reverting it. I don't have any clear answer for why he did it, but my theory is that it stops people from doing that annoying thing where they bomb people with Nue while standing on a building. Small change for people like me who only fight head to head, but probably a huge blow for trolls. Other minor thing to discuss is Mahito's new aerial variant for Stockpile. I don't really care much about this thing. It's good for rushdown, really awful for combos because of opportunity cost, since regular Stockpile exists, and it really is just a move that exists. It's a reskin crushing blow, so there isn't much to say about it. Finally, Hakari. There's only one thing I have to say, and that's... why? From the canon perspective, I get it. Gambit changed jackpots against Kashimo, so why not let him do it here? Except the canon viewpoint that people love to use as arguments for objectively bad suggestions is completely asinine, because if we're going with canon, then Road Cutting Slash and Hollow Purple should one-shot. Oh, maybe not Hollow Purple because of Gege Akutami, Fraud Joe, and Fraud Kotsu in the latest chapters. From a fun standpoint, it makes a little bit more sense. Specifically for the person using them, Awakenings are a lot of fun, and Hakari's Awakening tends to be the most fun one because you have to turn your brain off, press buttons, and the only thing you really have to do is make sure your camera is facing the person you think should die next. From my personal standpoint, which is the overly analytical one, I don't get it. It obviously won't do anything in ranked matches, which is fine by me, since in ranked matches, once Hakari gets his Awakening, the match is already decided. But in public servers, I don't know why Z wanted to let people chain Hakari Awakenings over and over again. Yeah, there's a conditional, but it's not that hard to achieve. You can practically guarantee jackpot by going somewhere not too close to fights when you use domain expansion, and you're still very likely to get it, even if you use it nearby others, but don't trap them inside. You only fail jackpot generally when you trap someone inside with you and have to fight them while trying to roll, usually either dying or just running out of time in domain, or when it gets broken from the outside, either because you got really unlucky and people broke it with their fists after about 3 minutes or so of willing on a damn thing, or because some annoying Super Senior Gojo player decided to Juntinto Hanten Kyoshi Kimigurasaki your personal casino. This update is one that I just don't get, and that's really all I have to say about it. It's not a big enough thing to really cause any harm, at least I don't think it is, but I can't understand the thought behind it. Overall, this update is really good, but it does make some rather questionable changes with Nue and Hakari, though neither of those things are really big enough for me to care that much about it. The new Mahoraga moves complete him, and the buffs added onto that turn him from being a big ol' punching bag into an absolute menace that can destroy anything in his path, which is exactly how it was in Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, we're at the end of the video. If you enjoyed watching, then make sure to subscribe for even more Noob Eternally content, and I'll see you next time in another video. Have a good day, and bye.